The Improvement Service is the go-to organisation for local government in Scotland. Our purpose is to help councils and their partners to improve the health, quality of life and opportunities of all people in the geographic area through community leadership, strong local governance and the delivery of high-quality, efficient local services. In 2020, the Improvement Service published 107 videos on YouTube. This year in review video takes a few minutes from our most viewed videos that were published in 2020 and gives a sense of the topics that were significant to local government throughout the year. The video can be viewed as a taste of the video content the Improvement Service produces, and all videos featured can be viewed on a separate playlist or via our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so what is Community Wealth, Paul? Well, it's a people-centred approach to local economic development, which looks to make local economic and flow of wealth more socially and ecologically beneficial to communities and enterprises. Now, a lot of you out there will be familiar with economic development. I think that it's a maturing of economic development, if not a bit of a disruption, because what it's kind of saying is let's hotwire social and environmental benefits into how the economy works and who benefits from it. Now, implicit in that, and it's obviously in the wellbeing economic frame and inclusive growth frame of the Scottish Government, implicit is that, and we've not been doing as well as we could. We've still got enduring levels of poverty and wealth inequality and ecological crisis, as well as the ongoing pandemic. So this is about how do we actually bend and disrupt and change economic development to actually deal with the social and ecological ills that we face.
And we need to think about sustainable transport as an equalities issue. I've got more than 50% of the households in the city that I represent without access to a car. So while we talk about people perhaps making choices about private cars, most of the people in Glasgow don't have that option. So we need to make as many safe options available to them as possible through changing the way public transport is delivered, but also in ensuring that they can walk and cycle if they want to. So I think that's really important. And that needs to happen now, because a lot of people, perhaps without access to a vehicle, are key workers. They are doing jobs. They're out there already. They're certainly not all teleconferencing from the safety of their homes.
So the impacts of COVID-19 on child poverty. I think the first thing to say is that this isn't going to be news for lots of you. Many of you will have been on the front line over the last 12 weeks or so supporting families, and you're going to be really well aware of some of the difficulties that people are facing right now. There's a common sort of phrase, metaphor at the moment, which I'll risk repeating because it's useful, and that is that we've all been in the same storm with coronavirus, but we're all in very different boats. Some are going to be able to stay afloat in this crisis, but others are going to be pulled under into poverty. This crisis has made people who were struggling financially beforehand even more vulnerable. Before the crisis, it was estimated there were more than 4 million households in the UK who wouldn't be able to cope with the income dropping by 25% in a month. And since then, 9.1 million people across the UK have been furloughed and are now living on 80% of their usual wages. Others have lost jobs altogether. In April, we saw a huge increase in new universal credit claims. And overall, it's estimated that an additional 200,000 children will be pushed into poverty by this crisis.
So it's not just data itself that's important, but what we do with it. There's a lot of data out there, and it's growing exponentially. So every single day, 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created. That's enough to fill 10 million Blu-ray discs. And 90% of the world's data is created in the last year. So it's not necessarily just about more data. There's a lot of data out there. It's about good data.
But let's have a little look at home working more generally. Until the Industrial Revolution, the majority of the population in the UK and in other countries, or other similar countries, typically worked from home. It is only really since the Industrial Revolution that we've had an increasing number of people leaving the home to go to work. In 2019, the majority of people, in fact, left the home to go to their workplace, with only 5% of the UK labour force fully working from home, with 27% occasionally working from home. Move the clock forward a year, And at the start of the lockdown from the COVID-19 pandemic, you have nearly half of people in employment who are working from home.
Just obviously some background information. North Lanarkshire, 1 in 4 children in North Lanarkshire live in poverty. 1 in 4 households can't afford their fuel costs. And then we're obviously quite a lot of work around, in promoting that benefits doesn't get you out of poverty, but it can loosen the grip of poverty and can be a lifeline for many people. And also looking to promote equality across all of our services is key to tackle poverty.
Just to be clear, what we're looking at today is about the way that we shape a place and how it can have an impact on behaviour of the people that use that place for the good or ill of their public health. This is about promoting healthy lives and promoting people to live longer, healthier lives, rather than that NHS treatment of people once they are already ill. It's very much about that kind of list of topics down the centre column there, and that's what I shall come on to and talk about in a bit more detail in the third part of this presentation. But it's just remembering that if we look at how we influence behaviour and the daily choices that we're all making, place impacts on that all the time. Many other parts impact on that as well. How we've grown up, where we've grown up, nature, nurture, but place is one of those elements that determines how we behave and then how healthy we are as a result.
So let's take you through, first of all, the research questions that we were looking at. So there were 3 sets of questions that we were trying to resolve. One was about how do we better connect these different agendas of spatial planning and community empowerment. And these are all, these 3 agendas are really all part of legislation from the British government. So the things we were looking at were on the screen there. How can we align the different kinds of plans under those 3 agendas? How can we maximise community empowerment? And also, we'll come back to this later on, how can local place plans try to resolve equalities issues, which is a big thing for the Scottish Government. It's perhaps less talked about in planning, especially planning reform, but it's a big thing in terms of community empowerment.
We hope you found this video interesting. The Improvement Service frequently posts new content on our YouTube channel, including recordings from conferences, workshops and webinars, case studies and thought pieces, explainer videos and walkthrough tutorials. Visit our YouTube channel and subscribe for more.